Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi, and we are continuing to read teachings of Lord Caitanya by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is chapter 28, the relationship with the Supreme Lord. Lord Caitanya rejected the statement cited by Ramananda Rai from the Vishnu Purana, because the Lord wished to reject a class of philosophers known as Mimamsakas. The followers of Karma Mimamsa philosophy teach that God is subject to one's work. Their conclusion is that if one works nicely, God is bound to give good results. Thus, from the statement of the Vishnu Purana cited by Ramananda Raya, one might conclude that Vishnu, the Supreme Person, has no independence, but is bound to award a certain kind of result to the worker. Such a dependent God becomes subject to the worshipper, who accepts the Supreme Lord as both personal and impersonal as he wishes. Actually, the Karma Mimamsa philosophy stresses the impersonal feature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Because Lord Caitanya did not like such impersonalism, he rejected it. Tell me if you know something beyond this conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Caitanya said. Ramananda Raya understood the purpose of Lord Caitanya, and after stating that it is better to give Kṛṣṇa the results of fruitive activities, he quoted a verse from the Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi jadadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Quote, O son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice, whatever you give away, and whatever austerity you undergo to achieve some goal, everything should be dedicated to my service. Unquote. There is a similar passage in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.36, which states that one should submit everything, all the results of the fruitive activities one performs with body, speech, mind, senses, intelligence, soul, and modes of nature, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Lord Caitanya, however, also rejected this second statement, saying, if you know of something higher, state it. Offering everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as enjoined by the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, is better than impersonally making the Supreme Lord subject to our work. But it is still short of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. A worker's identification with material existence cannot be changed without proper guidance. Such fruitive activity will continue one's material existence. A worker is simply instructed here to offer the results of his work to the Supreme Lord, but there is no information given to enable one to get out of the material entanglement. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya rejected his proposal. After having his suggestions rejected twice, Ramananda proposed that one should forsake his occupational activities altogether, and by such detachment rise to the transcendental plane. In other words, he recommended complete renunciation of worldly life. To support this proposal, he cited evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.11.32, wherein the Lord says, quote, "In the scriptures I have described the ritualistic principles and the way one can become situated in devotional service by giving them up. That is the highest perfection of religion." Unquote. Ramananda also quoted Lord Krishna's similar statement in the Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Quote, "Give up all kinds of religiousness and just surrender unto me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions, and you will have nothing to be aggrieved over." Unquote. Lord Chaitanya also rejected this third proposal from Ramananda Raya, for he wanted to demonstrate that renunciation in itself is not sufficient. There must be positive engagement. Without positive engagement, the highest perfectional stage cannot be attained. Generally, there are two kinds of philosophers in the renounced order of life. The goal of one is nirvana, and the goal of the other is the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Such philosophers cannot imagine that they can reach beyond nirvana and the Brahman effulgence to the Vaikuntha planets of the spiritual sky. Because in simple renunciation there is no conception of spiritual planets and spiritual activities. Lord Chaitanya rejected this third proposal. Ramananda Raya then cited more evidence from the Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. Quote, "When by cultivation of knowledge a person realizes himself to be non-different from the Supreme Absolute Truth, he becomes joyful and is freed from all kinds of lamentation and material desires. At that time, he perfects his Brahman realization by seeing everyone on the same spiritual level. Such Brahman realization can elevate one to the transcendental stage of devotional service." Unquote. Ramananda Raya first suggested devotional service with renunciation of the fruits of one's work. But here he suggests that devotional service with full knowledge and spiritual realization is superior. Lord Chaitanya, however, also rejected this proposal, because simply by renouncing material results in Brahman realization, one does not realize the spiritual world and spiritual activities. Although there is no material contamination when one attains the stage of Brahman realization, in that stage one is still not perfectly pure, because there is no positive engagement in spiritual activity. Because it is still on the mental plane, it is external. The pure living entity is not liberated unless he is completely engaged in spiritual activity. As long as one is absorbed in impersonal thoughts or in thoughts of the void, one's entrance into an eternal, blissful life of knowledge is not complete. When spiritual knowledge is not complete, one will be hindered in his attempt to cleanse the mind of all material variegatedness. Thus, impersonalists are frustrated in their attempts to make the mind void by artificial meditation. It is very difficult to void the mind of all material conceptions. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is stated that those who indulge in such impersonal meditation find it very difficult to make spiritual advancement. In addition, whatever state they do attain is not complete liberation. Therefore, Lord Caitanya rejected it. After his fourth proposal was rejected, Ramananda Rai said that devotional service rendered without any attempt at mental speculation or cultivation of knowledge is the highest stage of perfection. To support this view, he gave evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.3, wherein Lord Brahma tells the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Jnane prayasa mudapasya namanta eva jivanti sammukaritam bhavadiya vartam sthane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhir ye prayasho jitajitopyasi taistrilokyam. Quote, My dear Lord, one should give up monistic speculation and the cultivation of knowledge altogether. He should begin his spiritual life in devotional service by receiving information of your activities from a realized devotee of the Lord. If one cultivates his spiritual life by adhering to these principles and keeping himself on the honest path in life, then, although your lordship is never conquered, you become conquered by the devotee following such a process. Unquote. When Ramananda Raya presented this proposal, Lord Caitanya at once said, yes, this is right. In other words, Lord Caitanya agreed that this process conforms to his mission. Jai. Jai, Jai, Jai. So, the principles are giving up monistic speculation and cultivation of knowledge altogether, and beginning spiritual life by receiving information of Krishna's activities from a realized devotee of the Lord. So these are the principles, and keeping oneself on the honest path in life, and thus the Lord becomes conquered. Jai. We're going to stop here on this beautiful point today. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you next time. Hare Krishna.